Thank you for all who stayed here. Speaking to empty halls is even easier. But what about a panel I would like to run is let me speak in Polish because being here in my country, I prefer using my home language. So all of you who speak English, please take your headphones on, if you are kind, okay? So, ready with headphones? Very good. Thank you. Szanowni Państwo, ja się nazywam Bogusław Hrabota, jestem redaktorem naczelnym Gazety Rzeczpospolita. To jest pismo podobne trochę do Financial Times, chociaż ma większą sekcję polityczną. Osobiście, choć nie tylko ja, uważam, że jest to najpoważniejsza polska gazeta i tym milej jest mi mówić tutaj do Państwa. Temat, który mamy przed sobą, to patriotyzm 4.0, konkurencyjna wspólnota czy egoizm grup regionalnych. Jest to tytuł dość trudny, ale zaraz go sobie rozpracujemy. W panelu biorą udział pani Zanda Kalnina-Lukaszewica, sekretarz parlamentarny Ministerstwa Spraw Zagranicznych Łotwa. Dzień dobry. Pan Jan Sampierre, prezes, doradca do spraw działań antyterrorystycznych Modern Security Consulting Group Mossekon Niemcy. Oraz pan Tudor Buzatu, sekretarz stanu, kancelaria premiera Rumunia. A skoro, proszę Państwa, rozmawiamy o patriotyzmie 4.0, ja może bym zaczął od tego, jak Państwo rozumiecie ten patriotyzm 4.0, bo to jest taka formułka, która jest, no, powiedziałbym, średnio zrozumiała. Czy mogę Pana spytać, jak Pan rozumie patriotyzm 4.0?
Bardzo chętnie posłucham, co Państwo o tym myślicie, ze względu na to, że to jest kolejne tworzenie rzeczy, która jest chyba niekoniecznie potrzebna. To znaczy, możemy dodać za chwilę, za kilka lat 5.0, bo 4.0 nam się znudzi. Jak wytłumaczymy sobie, czym jest patriotyzm i będziemy się tego trzymać konsekwencje, to chyba wystarczy. A tak naprawdę to chyba, żeby przejść do chyba tego, co za chwilę od Państwa usłyszymy, to mam nadzieję, że ten patriotyzm dzisiaj w kontekście tego nawet, co powiedziała przed chwilą pani premier i chyba tego, co wszyscy myślimy, przynajmniej ci młodsi mieszkańcy Europy, że powoli będziemy wygaszać egoizm regionalny, a siłą natury ta idea współpracy i pewnego zrozumienia Europy jako powoli już naszego wspólnego kraju będzie zwyciężała. Tak? Nie wiem, czy to przyjdzie w etapie patriotyzmu 5.0, czy dopiero w momencie 6.0, ale to jest proces, który trwa pewnie już ze 2000 lat i może jeszcze potrwa kilkadziesiąt czy kilkaset, ale chyba przyjdzie.
Ja osobiście też takie liczby 4.0 to bardziej odnoszę do meczów piłki nożnej niż do rozumienia patriotyzmu, ale bardzo dziękuję za ten głos. Jeszcze Pana poproszę. Co Pan rozumie przez patriotyzm 4.0?
Pozwolę sobie odnieść się do słów przedmówcy. Z całym terminem spotykam się teraz, myślę, po raz pierwszy, ale jak sam się zastanawiam nad ewolucją patriotyzmu dzisiaj, nie wydaje mi się, żeby to było jakieś szczególnie, żeby to był jakiś szczególny moment dla rozwoju patriotyzmu w Europie, natomiast na pewno następuje jakiś proces zacieśniania więzów ekonomicznych między krajami Europy. Ja mam to nieszczęście, że mieszkam teraz w Wielkiej Brytanii, która właśnie z Unii wychodzi, ale większość krajów Europy się do siebie coraz bardziej zbliża. Wspólnota ekonomiczna jest na wielu płaszczyznach już rzeczywistością. Związków ekonomicznych jest dużo, ale wciąż nie ma tej polis politycznej, nie ma tych związków między społecznościami lokalnymi i innymi krajami w Europie, która by pozwalała im się postrzegać jako jeden organizm polityczny. Czy to dobrze, czy to źle, to zależy kogo zapytać, ale moim zdaniem tutaj nastąpi nam jakaś ewolucja, ponieważ po wyjściu z Wielkiej Brytanii, z Unii Europejskiej, a może po rozszerzeniu, jakoś zacieśnią się te związki gospodarcze między krajami i może za tym pójść również zacieśnienie związków politycznych i wykształcenie się jakiegoś patriotyzmu właśnie ponadregionalnego czy europejskiego. To jeden ze scenariuszy.
Bardzo mi się to myślenie podoba, tym bardziej, że Europa bywała już w swojej historii patriotyczna ponadnarodowo, prawda? Był na przykład patriotyzm hanzeatycki, no. Był patriotyzm Imperium Rzymskiego, był w jakimś stopniu patriotyzm, chociaż to są oczywiście odległe kategorie, państwa Karolingów, prawda? A ktoś jeszcze, czy może jeszcze ktoś z państwa się wypowie na temat patriotyzmu 4.0? Może pan?
Yeah, hello. Patriotism is not a bad thing. I guess that it will always be actual. And considering that the borders of the Europe is abolished, there will be one kind of European patriotism here in Europe, and less will be the national patriotism considered in this case.
Bardzo dziękuję. No teraz wrócę do moich rozmówców, którzy wszyscy są młodymi politykami albo młodymi ludźmi uczestniczącymi w życiu publicznym. Jest, mam wrażenie, taki spór, przynajmniej w Polsce się o nim często mówi, że spieramy się w Europie, w zjednoczonej Europie, która musi generować tworzenie się jakichś mechanizmów tożsamościowych, także na poziomie tak zwanego patriotyzmu. Mówi się o podziale na tych, którzy popierają głębszą integrację Unii Europejskiej i właśnie są bliscy tej idei ponadnarodowej, i są tacy, którzy uznają, że przyszłość Europy musi się opierać na tożsamości państw narodowych. Jak sytuacja wygląda na Łotwie? Czy ten podział też taki jest?
Thank you. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be here. And it's already the third time I'm not only participating at the CREETS Economic Forum, but also coming here to take part in these discussions of the young leaders. And I think these are always one of the most enjoyable discussions, lively and open ones. So coming to the question on the patriotism of today, and patriotism connected with Europe, for me, first of all, patriotism does not go together with like a strong nationalism or even more with isolationism, because these kind of tendencies do not do any good to the countries and to the people. So trying to become more isolated actually does not help to develop the state, the country, does not help to bring welfare to the people, does not help to develop a strong country. So for me, patriotism, first of all, is the values, and the first of it is rule of law. So building stronger country by the means of rule of law, based on the very basic values of freedom, equality, tolerance, solidarity. So, and it means really these European values are the ones that give us the light for developing modern patriotism. Patriotism for me also means developing the country and in the way to bring more welfare to the people. And how is it possible in our days world? Is it possible by closing the borders, looking only inwards? No, it's possible by the help of foreign trade, by the help of free trade, by the help of the European integration, developing the European economy, and that helps to bring the welfare to the country. And of course, patriotism means security. Is it possible, again, only on a national basis? And looking back into the history, yes, 8-10 centuries ago, the tribes in this part of the Europe, in Baltics, also in Poland, were fighting against each other, just trying to defend their small place where they are living, trying to get more resources. But even 9, 10, 8 centuries ago, when a bigger enemy was approaching, they agreed to cooperate. So, and even more today, so the country Latvia or Lithuania or Poland cannot be secure standing alone. So security comes together with being a member of the European Union and NATO. And being able and willing to cooperate with other countries in the region and broader. And in also this regional cooperation is very important, but it cannot exclude cooperation in a broader perspective. Like NATO brings together so many different countries from not only Europe, and that strengthens our security. And again, in the very core of the Europe and NATO, also when we talk about the security and defense, there are always the values of the rule of law. So we cannot have security at any costs. It has to be the security that goes together with the basic principles of liberal democracy, modern democracies, and European identity.
Bardzo dziękuję. Jan, the next question to you. Niemcy, proszę Państwa, to jest wielki organizm polityczny, też wieloetniczny de facto, bo przecież w Niemczech, jak Państwo wiecie, ten patriotyzm nie jest prostą sumą niemieckiego patriotyzmu, tylko jest patriotyzm bawarski, jest patriotyzm badeński, jest patriotyzm innych landów. Czy to pomaga w próbie budowy, czy wierzę w to, że istnieje możliwość zbudowania identyfikacji zintegrowanej Europy, patriotyzmu europejskiego? Czy te drobne, narodowe czy landowe wersje patriotyzmu temu pomagają czy przeszkadzają?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to the organizers. Although I work in Germany, I'll add a wrinkle to the issue of patriotism. I'm actually from Canada. I grew up in Montreal, and in my lifetime, there were 2 referendums on the possible separation of Quebec. Right? So the issue of patriotism and nationalism, I grew up with it, and one of the things that always comes up with this is that you get the impression, because it's so linked to identity.
Excuse me, if you participated in this referendums, do you think that the separatism is still strong in Canada? Because we got not enough knowledge about it.
It's died down a lot since the last referendum, which was basically 51-49 in 1995. There was a lot of reform and a lot of discussions.
So it went down.
Yes, it went down. So it's not comparable anymore to what we see in Scotland or in Catalonia. But it's still the idea of the identity and the patriotism, nationalism, is that it's always it's actually always presented as being exclusive. It's either you're one or the other. And what I find very interesting in Germany, having lived there for a long time and coming and having been there before the 2006 World Cup, which is in terms of German identity considered to be the turning point. Because before that, if you waved the German flag, you were considered to be a Nazi. That it was the post-World War era. It was very poorly seen to carry a flag. After the 2006 World Cup, it was okay because you then had patriotic pride in the national team. So sports suddenly became the channel in which a certain degree of patriotism was allowed, while at the same time, Germans will very often identify themselves as being European. They'll be European first, German second. And so you're having this duality in terms of patriotism. They'll be proudly European, will fight for the European Union, but they'll also be more and more openly, proudly German, but not in the same nationalistic roots that we've known for them to have in their history, but quite different, or more diluted one that takes into account, you mentioned the local identities, but one that takes as well into account a large Turkish population. For example, that it's very common, you go in different neighborhoods, especially for second and third generations, they'll see themselves both as German and Turkish. And one of the reasons for that is that in Germany, they're seen as Turks, but if they go to Turkey, they're seen as German. And so that duality of identity is actually helping them forge a larger common identity, one that is more linked to
Very interesting.
European values. And I think this is where they understand that you can be proud in what you do nationally and at the same time work in a process that is more global, that is more regional, continental, in order to progress both locally and continentally. And I think it's very interesting. I know it's Germany, and there's always that history there, but I think it's a very interesting model that appears right now to be very unique in Europe, because if you look at France, there's a huge resurgence of nationalism as well. The idea of defending French values, and UK in the Brexit. So it appears that yes, the entire process of the post-war era and the ubiquities of identity that stemmed from it is actually producing a new identity and a new type of patriotism that is more perhaps appropriate for the 21st century.
Bardzo dziękuję. Pan Tudor Puzatu. My jesteśmy jako Polska i Rumunia w trochę innych realiach. Jesteśmy młodymi członkami Unii Europejskiej. Mamy zupełnie inne napięcia. Te napięcia ostatnio spowodowały, że wielu Rumunów wyszło na ulicę, co obserwowaliśmy także w Polsce. Chcę pana zapytać, czy ten podział na myślenie w kategoriach wspólnotowych, w ślad za pewną myślą integracyjną, za czym może stać nowy patriotyzm, a myśleniem w kategorii państw narodowych, które nigdy nie będą miały z sobą więcej wspólnego niż pewna tożsamość kulturowa. Czy ten podział w Rumunii też jest ważny i zauważalny?
First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for inviting me here and giving me the opportunity to express my views. Now to answer your question, I think maybe the topic you opened, it's more complicated and has more implications than you can see from the outside. Actually, I see that the relation between Romania and Poland is very close and could get even closer, because we could become together a pillar of stability and a new, a protection for the rest of Europe in this eastern side of Europe. Concerning our internal situation, I would like to tell you that it's not quite as you see it on TV. Actually, Romanians really do stick together in this time. Yes, we had some problems. We're overpassing them. There have been mistakes made. But we are always learning and doing our best for our citizens. And also trying to revive the patriotism in them and to create this European patriotism. The first time when I read the title of the panel, of course, I thought about national patriotism, the one I was taught in school and so on. But afterwards, I admitted that I was wrong. Nowadays, Romania, Poland, and all member states in the EU should regard the EU as its mother country. We should start building this community patriotism, this general patriotism, and by sharing values, sharing experiences, by helping each other. Romania and Poland were in eastern states in a more difficult economic situation till a couple of years ago. In the past few years, Romania and Poland are competing for the first two places as GDP growth in Europe. So things are changing. Things are changing for the better. I think with time, we will really create this feeling of big nation, of community.
Another question is, what is the level of Euroscepticism in Romania? Do you have any parties who support disintegration of Union?
No. Some political leaders tend to make this affirmations to say that the certain parties are Eurosceptic or want to separate Romania from the EU. It is not true. Our governing party supports all the way Romania's European path. We are supporting the EU, we are supporting the opening and enlarging of the EU. So it's just a political theme. It's not an actual theme. Like people, citizens are supporting this.
Kolejne pytanie, proszę Państwa, dotyczy zagrożenia nacjonalizmem. I myślę sobie, że ten nacjonalizm rosnący w Europie jest zauważalny z perspektywy wielu krajów. Jakie jest ryzyko, że nacjonalizm odegra istotną rolę w polityce krajów, o których mówimy? Łotwy, Niemiec, Rumunii. Gdzie nacjonaliści mają najbliżej do udziału we władzy?
I'm a politician and belonging to the Unity Party in Latvia. I'm belonging to the European People's Party group. So in Latvia we have a coalition government where one of the partners in the government is National Alliance, so the more national-oriented party. And what I can see that this kind of tendency to use the national card in the political rhetorics actually creates a lot of stress in the society, and sometimes what we can see that the nationalism ideas benefit from example from the Kremlin rhetorics, because they can use this fight against each other to become more popular, but not to bring any benefit to the country, to the people, to the nation. And so I really believe that our days, so that the patriotism is not equivalent to the nationalism. Because for me, patriotism really means thinking about the benefit of the country in terms of welfare, security, and sustainability of the nation. And how is it possible? It's possible by cooperating, it's possible by engaging, it's possible by staying strong in your values, but not by confronting to become more popular and not using these more radical cards. And what we see in Europe, so the nationalist movements are more likely to be closer to the populist ideas and really using all kind of rhetorics for the benefit of the persons, individuals and parties, and actually not for the welfare and long-term benefit of the country.
The problem is that nationalists all over Europe have completely different definition of patriotism. And that's a danger growing. Jan?
Absolutely, and it's also very circumstantial. It's based on, for example, a lot of it's emerged in the last 3 years because of the so-called refugee crisis, right? The entire UKIP Brexit campaign was very much based on the threat from outside.
You really see the danger of AfD growth in Germany?
Yeah, exactly. But the AfD, and it's interesting, and I know it sounds weird because you look at the events in Chemnitz last week, but the AfD, most of its supporters, both formal and informal, are less about nationalism and patriotism than about expressing discontent to the way things are run in Germany. It's a party where people go to because they feel heard. And that's a very big difference, because a lot of them are not necessarily pro-Germany or putting a lot of this nationalist or highly patriotic, animated by highly patriotic sentiment, but rather as expressing a discontent. And so from the outside looking in, it looks as if nationalism is really on the rise in Germany. But like elsewhere in Europe, you have these small pockets. And it's not unlike the USA, for example, where a lot of Trump supporters, some of them are, make America great again, which is a form of nationalism, protectionism in the sense of the American sense. But a lot of it is also an expression, is still an expression of discontent as well against the political establishment. And I think it's, again, this growing sentiment of nationalism is very much related to current circumstances. In France, it's been going on for 20 years. And that has a different feel to it. But in the UK, it's very recent. In Germany, it's recent. In many other countries as well. So it's always linked to how, and my co-panelist mentioned it, how is it presented politically? Is it presented is it exploited as an opportunity to gain short-term, let's say, votes or make short-term gains? Or is it presented as something that can be beneficial in the long term? And I think right now it's mostly short-term thinking that is defining this resurgence in nationalism.
Okay, question to our Romanian friend. What is the face of current Romanian nationalists? We know the lesson from the period before the war of Iron Guard and Condranu, and etc. Do they have a line in common politics in Romania today?
Actually, they don't. We don't have a nationalist party. We used to have one till 15 years ago, but it disappeared. And I have to agree with Madam Secretary of State, because nowadays populists use this message, these nationalist messages, to gain political capital. In the society, there is frustration caused by social, economic disparities, and so on. And they're trying to captivate these voters, to attract them on their side with these nationalist messages. But actually, they don't recognize themselves as nationalists. Only they use it because it's, I don't know, it's easy to transmit this sort of message. It's easy to relate to these ideas. But actually, we don't have any more nationalist parties, like radical, extremist, right-wing nationalist parties. Only social democratic and liberal parties.
So there is nothing like Jobbik in Romania? No.
No. We used to have, I told you, this party till 14 years ago, actually, called the Big Romania. It talked about unification, nationalist ideas, and so on. But no more. Only some political leaders trying to attract as many votes as they can in any means without dignity or moral or something using. They are the only ones using this kind of messages.
To bardzo ważne, jaki przekaz dotyczący patriotyzmu wyjdzie z Europy Środkowej. Dzisiaj bardzo wielu polityków na Zachodzie boi się tego, co niesie z sobą polityka Europy Środkowej. Myślę, że bardzo ważne jest to, jaki ten przekaz będzie i ten przekaz, przynajmniej z tego, co tu mówimy, nie jest taki groźny. Ale teraz takie pytanie, bo jesteśmy wśród młodych liderów. Wy będziecie, młodzi liderzy, za kilka lat tworzyli przyszłość Europy. Ta hemisfera, także technologiczna, się radykalnie zmienia. My żyjemy w zupełnie innym świecie dzisiaj niż jeszcze dekadę temu. Mówię o internecie, mówię o rzeczywistości wirtualnej, mówię o komunikatorach, mówię o gigantycznym awansie technologicznym także tej części świata. I myślę sobie, że to się musi jakoś przełożyć na naturę patriotyzmu. I to pytanie, które teraz chcę Państwu zadać, ono będzie trudne, ale myślę sobie, że dotknę w nim istoty rzeczy. Jeśli mówimy o kategorii powstającego, tworzącego się patriotyzmu europejskiego, jaką rolę w tym procesie może odegrać technologia, ekonomia, myślenie w kategorii regionalności? Czy te kategorie mogą nasycić ten nowy patriotyzm nowymi treściami albo wpłynąć instrumentalnie na budowanie się tego nowego patriotyzmu?
If we accept the concept of patriotism, I tried to explain that it means welfare and security for the society, then definitely, for example, the technology, the internet, the digital economy can bring huge benefits, for example, for Latvia. We can earn a lot from digital economy. So we can benefit from regional transport interconnectors, like, for example, Rail Baltica, the big project implemented by the EU that builds rails and to have fast-speed train from Tallinn to via Riga, Vilnius to Berlin. So these kind of activities and building economy with the integration and by using the opportunities the EU is providing us, strengthens and develops my country. So it's patriotic to develop Rail Baltica. It's patriotic for me to develop a digital economy in Latvia. It's patriotic to engage more with other countries in the region, in the Baltic Sea region. So to develop our ability to cooperate, to trade, to build the region. And definitely it's possible because of the EU. And it gives us more and more opportunities. Could we have the same benefits in terms of economy if we were not engaging with other EU countries? Definitely no. Would it bring any good to our people? No. So that's why the examples you mentioned, the technology, the economy, yes, it's closely connected with modern patriotism.
Powiem to trochę innym językiem, ale jeszcze do pani. Czy nowoczesność jest w stanie przegnać stare wschodnioeuropejskie upiory?
I don't know what you mean saying the old East European monsters. Last year, isn't they already far away? I hope that so. You mentioned communism, Stalinism, etc. Yes.
You know, that's of course there's always a question what we understand under the term of the old monsters. But I have some friends in living in your country, and they are having the impression that these monsters being across the border, they can feel them still.
I think that our days monsters are actually really populism and weakening the values and principles. But being strongly integrated in the Europe and holding high our European values, it increases our strength to face the willingness of Russia to covet our lands, to try to influence the societies. And here we come to the modern communication, to the hybrid threats Russia is really creating to our societies by the means of communication, propaganda, interfering and trying to influence the public opinions. And again, what can we do? If not to increase, for example, media literacy so that people understand what's right and what's wrong, what's real news, what's fake news, what's a real story about the situation in Europe, and what's the propaganda coming from Russia. So yes, there is a danger close to us. But being stronger and being able to cooperate will make us more secure. A very different example, so for example, terrorism, another threat of our days, of modern Europe. Again, not a single country in Europe can fight against terrorism alone. But when we cooperate, so we can fight against terrorism and make our countries stronger and more secure. So I cannot find one example where an isolated country in 21st century could be stronger.
Yeah, and same question to you. How much technology, how much economy and the regional cooperation can influence the meaning of patriotism in a future?
I'm a big fan of social media and digitalization. I think it changes everything because suddenly you know that, again, that old patriotism, old nationalism that was very limited to its borders, you don't live in borders anymore. The fact that you have access to content from everywhere in the world, when you're on Facebook, when you're using Twitter, on Instagram, people become more aware than ever, especially, you know, I'm 41, but people, the actual digital natives are much more aware of this, that you know, you can post something in the UK and it'll have an influence in Poland. And this awareness that, you know, there's something out there that's bigger is, you know, you're trying to find your place both personally, but while being aware that there's something bigger. And I think this is really, it's changing politics. It's changing the way people come together for certain causes. It's changing the way the relationships are built. When you used to, I know even 20 years ago, you had to take a 15-hour flight to go somewhere. Now you just Skype. And the relationships are different with every continent. And that affects economy, it affects security, and it creates an awareness of actually that there are others, and that success is now dependent on that relationship with others to be able to move forward. Some people are reluctant to this. Change always creates a counter effect. It's very normal, but in this day and age, with all the possibilities, the world has really gotten smaller, and the impacts are felt nationally on a daily basis.
Tudor, what about Romania? Is this the same process we are just touching here? That new technology, economy, and the regional collaboration change the sense of patriotism in your country?
I believe that our common projects, regional or whole union coming together, this will create this sense of patriotism, European patriotism, because in this digital era, I think this is the only way to create patriotism. National patriotism probably dissipates because of this globalization, constant changes, it is now easier to integrate foreign culture. Foreign culture is in your laptop, on your phone, and being easier, part of your national identity disappears. That's unfortunate. In my view, that's unfortunate. Although I support technology and I see that this is the future, we should really work on keeping our national identities, our national patriotism, not at I've told you, not in an extremist way, but in a correct, fair way to our nation, because after all, we have a nation where we were born, and this creation, the EU, where we want to live and in which we want to develop. So I also believe in technology, but I see that it will be more difficult to create this sense of patriotism in a more and more digitalized world. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that, excuse me, I was not so much consequent in speaking Polish, but I believe that some of you speak English enough, well, just to understand me. But I have a question too, because you have a kind of a communication from us, from politicians, from people who are on a public scene. And I'd like to ask you, what do you think about it? If we are close or very much far away from the category of European patriotism, you believe it can happen or not? May I answer? Yeah?
Yeah, thank you a lot for sharing your opinions, and I really liked your opinion about patriotism and forum. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm Olga from Belarus. So I liked your idea about patriotism being in a form of welfare and contributing in your country or elsewhere for the community or for the economy. But I don't actually believe in national patriotism in terms of developing. The technologies are developing, and in a while probably there will not be such a thing as one national identity, but it will be mixed because people will be moving and there will be increased mobility of people. So people will be living in different places and there will be no such a thing as one single national identity. And then there is a question how I identify myself as a Belarusian, as a European, as a global citizen. So I believe it more will be a form of contributing to the community and to the economy in a way.
But as I see, you have a good telephone in your mobile, in your hand, and you probably have Facebook or Twitter. Does it make you closer to Europe, or it helps you to stay Belarusian only?
It's hard to answer this question because, as I said, there is a form of identity crisis happening because I cannot identify myself sometimes as only Belarusian or only European. And in future, I think it's going to be changing. But basically, yeah, I believe that technologies, they erase differences between people in a way. And that's why I think the whole concept of nationality, it's not that important anymore, in a way.
So, thank you for your answer. That's the clear answer for my question. Some of you? You believe in European patriotism?
Hello, my name is Balint and I'm from Hungary. I believe in European patriotism, so I agree with my predecessor. Like I consider myself also as a European citizen. So I want to. I don't want to get into. Sorry, this kind of question, but I'm sure that Hungarians want, like myself, I want to keep my patriotism for my nation. So I believe in Hungary. I believe that guys from Jobbik are gonna maybe change, but I consider myself like European and Hungarian. I think it can remain both.
Thank you. Somebody more? Oh, I got two brave people who want to say some words.
Dzień dobry, nazywam się Krystian Zdziennicki, jestem z Polski. Również wierzę w patriotyzm europejski, jednakże chciałem powiedzieć, że uważam, że możemy być patriotami w trzech wymiarach. W pierwszym wymiarze, w wymiarze lokalnym, w wymiarze narodowym i w wymiarze ogólnym, czyli tym wymiarze europejskim. I myślę, że przykład pomorski, pochodzę z terenów Pomorza, można czuć się Kaszubą i niekoniecznie trzeba dążyć narodowo, aby się uniezależnić. I właśnie działając na rzecz tych małych ojczyzn, tego małego terenu, możemy umacniać nasz naród, możemy umacniać całą Europę i myślę, że to jest ważne przesłanie, aby właśnie działać w tych małych, lokalnych społecznościach, bo to wpływa na nasz rozwój i my jako młode osoby, myślę, zacznijmy działać w tych naszych małych ojczyznach i myślę, że będzie po prostu dobrze. Dziękuję bardzo.
Bardzo dziękuję. Ktoś tu był jeszcze? Bardzo proszę.
Dzień dobry, nazywam się Jan Wabisiak, ja również jestem z Polski i chciałem zapytać, czy według Państwa patriotyzm na różnych stopniach nie wiążą się ze sobą, tylko że na zasadzie trochę nadzwyczajnej, ponieważ patriotyzm lokalny na przykład nie wiąże się często z patriotyzmem regionalnym, gdyż patriotyzmy lokalne wewnątrz danych regionów czy województw często ze sobą rywalizują. I zauważyć można pewną zbieżność patriotów lokalnych z patriotyzmem krajowym czy narodowym, ponieważ są one bliższe niż rywalizowanie w ramach jednego regionu.
A jak daleki jest od tego patriotyzm zintegrowanej Europy, czyli europejski?
Właśnie o to chodzi, że patriotyzmy regionalne za to są moim zdaniem bliższe patriotyzmowi europejskiemu, ponieważ w ramach Europy patriotyzmy narodowe ze sobą konkurują. I dlatego patriotyzmy regionalne, jeżeli będą odpowiednio wzmacniane, umocnią też patriotyzm europejski, ponieważ osłabią nacjonalizmy, które są dzisiaj zagrożeniem dla zjednoczonej Europy. Dziękuję.
Bardzo dziękuję. Lady and gentlemen, we are just coming to our closing remarks. And I think that the last question or request to you is just to deliver a clear message for young leaders about patriotism in the future. They are the people who will rule our countries in next decades. So what do you offer? Jan.
As somebody that grew up not knowing if I have to be Quebecois or Canadian, I can actually say don't worry about finding one identity. Really enjoy them all. And I mean, I work a lot in Nigeria, and I always make the joke about being a white guy. And my colleague, he says, but Dr. Jan, you're one of us. And I see the difference, but he doesn't see the difference. And I think it's really interesting that when you're willing to accept that, things are a lot easier. But of course, there are social pressures and political pressures to try to have that one identity. But navigate, it's all okay.
I had the same feeling spending some time in Kenya. I felt myself to be one of them. Really. So I'm not the only one having such a feeling. Okay.
There will always be only one place you have grown up, your local town or city or parish. But there is no contradiction with loving your place you born and your country. So there should not be a contradiction between patriotism connected with your country and with Europe. So you can have this several level identity and several level patriotism, your local place, that's part of your country, and your country being part of the Europe. And seeing these connections and broader borders will help you to build the future of the place you are, of the country you come from, and of the Europe we are all here in. So
I have an intuition that maybe we are coming closer to this definition, and I find it to be responsible for communities you are in. Yes, you are a part of. That's maybe something close to the modern 4.0 patriotism. Tudor?
One of the most important principles of the European Union is unity in diversity. So you have to grow your national patriotism, to educate it, so you can understand a regional or European Union patriotism. So you cannot have one without the other. I have heard a remark here that some people are feeling lost, that they don't have an identity anymore. This is one of our biggest problems. We cannot be successful as a union if we don't know what our roots are, because we are different and we have to adjust to everyone's needs.
Bardzo Państwu dziękuję. Ja nie wiem, czy ta debata była dla Państwa inspirująca, dla mnie bardzo, bo jak przychodziłem tutaj na to spotkanie, nie miałem kompletnie pojęcia, jak sobie wytłumaczyć ten patriotyzm 4.0. Dlatego intuicyjnie pytałem Was, liczyłem na jakąś podpowiedź. Nie było, chociaż tropy się zarysowały, a teraz już mniej więcej wiem, o czym my mówimy. I myślę, że trzeba umieć wykorzystać instrumenty, które nam daje współczesność, do tego, żeby tą odpowiedzialność za środowiska, społeczności, w których uczestniczymy, ponosić w pełni. No cóż, tyle. Bardzo uprzejmie dziękuję. Życzę udanych obrad i wracamy do Krynicy.
Thank you very much for not only an interesting panel, but a very well-timed one. This is a rare feature among panelists to be so time-conscious. That's a feature that I'm sure the audience will appreciate. I will now invite you to take a 10-minute break. I strongly encourage you to use